Hey everybody, have you considered starting a podcast? We here at Screwball highly recommend Podbean for getting your podcast out to a larger audience. Podbean has given us the opportunity to easily bring you Screwball each and every week on all of your favorite podcast services. Use the link podbean.com/screwball to sign up and save up to 35% annually. You can also use the link podbean.com/pro/screwball to sign up for a business subscription. Happy podcasting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host Mike Lepre, here with my co-host Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
This is episode 107 of Screwball, and a much slower news week this week from all around baseball. This is going to be a little bit of a different episode compared to our regular episode since we don't have as much news to talk about, so we'll go into a little bit more of topic-driven stuff. So, if you're already familiar with the show, it's not going to change much. We're just going to be a little bit more topical today. We kind of had a struggle to find news-worthy stuff. So the one piece of news that I do have, though, to kind of lead off the show, as we usually do with our news segment, the one piece of news I do have that probably a lot of baseball fans are wondering themselves is the offensive output being down. We've talked about it in the past, too. I think you even brought up a piece of topic or something regarding the offensive output being down. So, in particular, Mets hitting coach Eric Chavez, and he's not the only one to kind of feel this way, but he seems to believe that the MLB needs to, quote-unquote, kind of rejuice the baseball, as they were in years past. In regards to those past years, Chavez stated, quote, "The ball was just traveling better. That was the eye test, but then we lined it up with the analytics, and the analytics were telling us different." So, basically what he was saying there was that, the ball, and you can even see it in some of the early statistics from the other years, that there were just, the home runs were definitely at a higher pace. I mean, I think the Twins broke the home run record in 2018, 2019 as a team for the whole year. I think the Yankees were right behind them. I think the Dodgers are right there. So you saw home runs flying out of the yard. If you just watched the game, there were balls leaving the ballpark that really had no business leaving the ballpark. So if you're a pitcher, you probably didn't say anything. You're probably kind of happy that that's the case. But if you're a hitter, you're probably a little frustrated. So I just wanted to bring up that piece of news because for some MLB officials to kind of start bringing this up, some coaches and players we've seen speak out a little bit about it or at least allude to it, I think it's becoming a problem, and I think the MLB might need to do something about this. So, and I know they probably want more offense because that puts fans in the seats and increased viewership, at least in their mind. So, yeah, I don't know what they can do, but I wouldn't mind seeing, people love home runs. I wouldn't mind seeing more home runs, but in a way, it's almost like it makes it good that like maybe teams are a little bit going closer to trying to play contact instead of just home run or nothing ball. That's really super analytical. But I just wanted to bring that up as my really only piece of news here because I just thought it was it's kind of a topic on everyone's minds is the offense. I'd say a lot of people are talking about what's going on with certain teams not hitting quite what they can, and then you talk about the Orioles ballpark moving back, and it's just a whole mess. So I know you had some other piece of news too. There is some stuff to go into, but so I don't know really what you got.
Yeah, some other things I got here. One thing to go along with that, I just noticed a lot from watching baseball, even over the last 2 years or so. Strikeout looking has gone up to a remarkable spot. And you go, oh, well, maybe it's the robo-umps, or, they should get robo-umps, it's the umpires. No, it's just the fact that these pitches are right on the corner, maybe a hair off the corner, and these guys, it's got 2 strikes, they won't swing. Well, they know the strike zone. Yeah, but you're what? A quarter of an inch off the plate. Swing. Foul it off. You get another pitch. You can't just strike out looking. It does nothing for the game, right? Strike out looking does absolutely nothing. Strike out, at least swing, gives you a chance. Strike out looking does nothing. Leave it in the umpire's hands, right? That's why everyone always said, don't do that playing, right? So that's the one thing I noticed goes along with the, offense numbers being down. You strike out looking, you don't put up any runs. At least you swing, you never know, right? Might hit it. Maybe get the umpire, maybe get the catcher's view, and he drops the ball, right? And you get down to first. Something's better than just looking. There it goes.
Yeah.
So some other things I got here. George Kirby called up, right? Pitched very well yesterday for the Mariners. He was top pick in 2019, one of the first-round picks for the Mariners, and one of the high prospects. So that's something to note there. Rad Tellez breaks the single-game RBI record for the Brewers, their franchise. He had 8 RBIs in one game, including a grand slam. And we have Dusty Baker won his 2000th career regular season game. Puts him 12th manager all time and the first African American manager to have 2,000 plus wins.
Yeah.
So that pretty much cements his Hall of Fame legacy, even though possibly without a World Series.
Yeah, definitely.
And the last thing I got here, which is mostly our topic, is which we talked about a lot, I think, over the years in the episodes, is the stadium size and the impact on the game. And the reason was we had Chris Woodward for the Rangers yesterday state that Torres' home run would have been an out in 99% of the stadiums, and they played at Little League Park, which was a nonsense comment. They believe they said, 26 out of 30 stadiums the ball would have been a home run at, projected 370 feet. So he said that, then he tries taking back some of his comments today, I believe. I didn't mean no disrespect. No, you said it, and you're an idiot. Take your, 10-win team, 9-win team, go back to Texas and lose some more, right? Who's Chris Woodward, right? There's another nobody. Guy who probably couldn't play in Little League.
And he, just not to cut you off, but he was also the one that had something to say about Tatis with the Grand Slam. So he's already made himself a little bit more outspoken about when guys hit home runs against him, I guess.
Yeah, it's a nobody. Another nobody. You'll never remember him in baseball. But just wanted to throw some facts. I got a lot of stats here for us compared to Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium is 318 down the left field line, 408 in center field, 314 down the right field line. I could even go into the gaps here. It was 399 left center, Death Valley, right? And I believe it's 385 in right center. So I don't have the other gaps for these other stadiums, but I know that one just from watching for the last, my whole life, right? Yankee Stadium, there is 23 center fields in baseball currently that are shorter or the exact same distance to center field. 23. So that tells you that center field is very far out there. The gaps are, left center is one of the farthest gaps in all baseball. Right center is pretty average, right? But then we also have these stadiums currently. San Francisco Stadium is 339 to the left field foul pole, 399 to center field, and 309 to right field. So shorter than Yankee Stadium. Houston, 315 to the Crawford boxes, 409 to center, pretty much dead on at this point with Yankee Stadium, and 326 to right field with a relatively shorter wall. So there you go. Here's left field is shorter than Yankee Stadium in Houston. Boston. Let's hear these. So-called 310 to the monster, even though I used to say 290, and the wall never moved. So automatically shorter. It's not even 310. I don't think it's even 300, but whatever. 390 to dead center field. These are dead center field, not their fullest point in center field. I know they have the triangle. That's nonsense. No one hits it there. 390 to dead center field. And so-called 302 to the pesky pole, which that's not right either. So there's a stadium is completely shorter than Yankee Stadium. And not a word gets said about that, right? Being a Little League stadium. Baltimore, even with the pushback, 333 dead down the left field line, right? Because they pushed the wall back now. Now the stadium's terrible. 400 to dead center field. 318 to right field. Exactly the same as Yankee Stadium, right? 318 was left field, but they're right field, right? So another short stadium. Here's another one for you. Tampa Bay, 315 to left field. Sure.
Yeah, that little small wall. Yeah.
Yeah, and a real small wall there. 404 to center field. 322 to right field. So these stadiums aren't... All those stadiums I named had at least something on one of the lines that was shorter than Yankee Stadium. And center field, I think, on all of these were shorter, except Houston, which was 1 foot longer. So why the discredit for Yankee Stadium? And not just because I'm a Yankee fan, because I can't stand the stadium idea. I can't stand it it's the stadium and you guys get it's it's nonsense. It's nonsense because you can say about every stadium. Oh, Houston at Tal's Hill was 436 feet, right before they got rid of Tal's Hill. Okay, so you don't play there. What does it matter? Your stadium. Oh well, this stadium's 404 and yours is 405. If we played at this stadium, I would have been a home run. Are we really gonna do that?
Yeah.
To make every stadium exactly the same. What's the point of that? Just put no fence out there. Let's let the ball roll forever. With that.
Yeah.
So I just don't. I can't stand the stadium concept and the arguments we get over stadiums. We talked about it for a lot. And I brought up here Colorado. We always talk about it. 347 down the left field line, Colorado. 415 dead center. 350 to right field with a big wall. And all the way to center field, a big gap. All the way through the gap, it's a big wall. That is a huge stadium. Oh, the ball carries better. Okay. 347 down the left field line. I hit a ball. Okay, maybe if not in Colorado, it would have went 342. That's still crushed. 342.
Mm-hmm.
Because Houston's 315.
Yeah,
Take 10 feet off. It's still 337. That's above average.
You're almost going to the train tracks, in Houston. Yeah.
So again, the stadium concept of this stadium's a little league park. He said, it's idiotic because there's other stadiums that are way shorter. The ball blows out different. Because I don't know, maybe he doesn't know the history of his own team. Because Globe Life Park, the original one, might have played like it was 200 feet to right field.
No,
the way the ball jumped out of there.
God.
Also being 100,000 degrees and the air is thin as you couldn't breathe. It was so thin.
Mm-mm.
The ball jumped out of there. So I don't want to hear this nonsense with the stadium. I can't stand it. Oh, he played here. He played at Colorado, so his stats inflated. He played here. Oh, but Ted Williams, he played at Boston. He's great, one of the greatest hitters. I'll stand by this to this day. You come fight me. Ted Williams is not the same hitter if he doesn't play in Boston. Hands down, not even close. He doesn't bat 400. I don't think he bats 350. Anybody can hit the ball 100 feet off the monster. I don't care. It doesn't make any sense. You're hitting the ball 5 feet. Doesn't matter. Or you could say, Babe Ruth wouldn't hit the same amount of home runs at Yankee Stadium. Okay, maybe he doesn't hit the same amount of home runs. He batted 400. All you do is hit the ball 100 feet. It's not far.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, the stadium idea is terrible. Because then you can also change the narrative and say that because Yankee Stadium used to be 490 feet to center field. Or nonsense. Polo Grounds was 247 to the line and 250 to the line. No one said anything about that. Forbes Field was 5 million feet. Griffith Stadium was 430 feet with the Green Monster.
Mm-hmm.
Not a word said about these stadiums, right? So I can't stand that concept of the stadium does this, the stadium does that. You're also playing at that stadium with the same weather that day. Maybe your guy who spent $1 billion on this year, Marcus Semien could bet maybe over 200, right? And Corey Seager could bet maybe over 200, right? Maybe you won't have to worry about that, right? Maybe Dane Dunning can have less than a 6 ERA, right? Maybe you would want to worry about giving up a home run. Maybe try that, Chris Woodward. You know, you haven't had a 500 season ever as a manager. Maybe work on that. Instead of worrying about, we played a different stadium, it would have been a home run. It wouldn't have been a home run. Oh, maybe don't give it up.
Yeah.
Going against a guy batting 200, get a home run off of you. You should be embarrassed. Terrible. That's terrible. I just can't stand it. I had to bring it up because we always talk about it.
Yep.
The Todd Helton and the Larry Walker Hall of Fame thing, right? Because of Colorado and Boston with the stupid fences they have, and the field's only 5 feet, right? You're standing on the infield dirt, and somehow you're on the warning track too. So
right.
I'm not sure about that, but that's our topic of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I know you got a few things to say. I just wanted to go into actual stats on some of these stadiums and show you how idiotic that comment was and the idea of that. Mm-hmm. Is it possibly a hitter-friendly park in these certain spots? Yes. Is it any different to any other stadium? No. So what is the difference?
Yeah, it's funny too because when people talk about it being a little league ballpark, they only refer to the increased number of home runs you get at right field because there is that short porch, which it's like you said, it's almost every stadium has a gimmick. And before Baltimore did their heinous act of moving those walls back, Baltimore was a bandbox. That ball would fly out of there. And people don't ever talk about that. Like you said with the Crawford boxes in Houston. Yeah, it's a tall wall, but I could poke a ball just like Fenway and poke a double real quick. You don't really have to hit it that far. It says it's
315 there, and I don't even know if that's accurate.
Right. And the conversation usually goes around, well, Yankees hit the Bronx Bombers. Their legacy is to the Bronx Bombers. They hit a lot of home runs. So, the home run gets a lot more magnified when you're hitting it, say what Lepre hit it, 370, even though it didn't really look like he crushed it all that much. People focus on the home runs where if you look at Yankee Stadium and you really break it down, it is a pitcher-friendly ballpark. It's actually more of a neutral park. It's fairly even to both pitchers and hitters.
Because of the long gaps in the huge center field.
People don't talk about how the ball dies when you're in either gaps or hitting it to center. You have to hit a shot.
It's 399 and 4-weight to center. Those are some of the biggest ones. Right center is about average.
Right.
But right field's as old as Little League Park. Left field's 318.
Yeah.
It's 4 feet further, and no one says a word about left field.
Right. Yeah, in left field, you don't exactly have to crush it to get it out of there. It's a bit further, but it's not, not unrealistic.
I just don't understand that. I can't stand that stadium idea.
Yeah,
because then you got to discredit a lot of people. Discredit the Red Sox. Discredit those guys who played there. Wade Boggs. Mm-hmm. Go ask him. He used to just slap the ball against the monster. It was unbelievable. He might have batted 500. for a
Right.
season if he just played there all his whole career.
It's true.
Give me Tony Gwynn at Fenway.
He would have
81
batted
games.
500.
I guarantee he's a 600 hitter at Fenway. I guarantee it.
Yeah, for real.
Or Rod Carew. Who's going to slap that ball over there? What do you it's just idiotic concept.
And it's like you said, too, the argument I like, that doesn't really make much sense is, or that makes much sense once you bring it up, is you're playing there, too. So, like, you lost, first of all, they lost 2-1. You couldn't find someone that could poke the ball out of the Little League ballpark, too. So just because it didn't benefit you, all of a sudden it's a problem. You know what I mean? So, but I'll tell you what, if Corey Seager pulled a wall scraper that just went in front of the foul pole, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
So
well,
it's
unless it was 3-0, right?
Yeah,
losing,
yeah.
You don't want to throw that off. Right?
I know. So it's just when it doesn't benefit you, you got something to say, but then all of a sudden you hit a little porch job, as they would call it, and it's just barely over the fence. Which, by the way, too, you need a 6'7" Aaron Judge to be able to get to the top of the wall. So it's not exactly a short wall like in Houston. Yeah. Or in Tampa Bay, where they have a wall that's about ankle high.
Or Fenway.
Yeah, Fenway with the pesky pole.
You could break your leg in half because you bumped into the wall.
Yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is, I'm not trying to just be a Yankee defender, but
no.
It's hypocritical because you could say something about every ballpark. You really could.
And that's what gets me. I don't care if this was Yankee Stadium or if you would have brought it up for any stadium. I just can't stand that the Yankee Stadium and the stadium idea is brought up when it's idiotic. It is idiotic because then you have to discredit a lot of baseball history.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you can't say, oh well, we would have played here. Then make a neutral site. Make it has to be 330 here, it has to be 400 here, it has to be 330 here. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Some stadiums are bigger, some stadiums are smaller. Some people can hit the ball, some people can't. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
I don't know what the issue is.
That's just baseball.
Yeah, that's like the infield's cut out. Some fields have the grass right on the third base or first base line, right? Where it's pretty much the grass and dirt. So if the ball rolls off the grass, it rolls foul. Some stadiums, they have the grass a long way, so it could roll off the grass and still be fair.
Right.
Are you going to discredit you lost a game because you had a swing and bunt and it rolled foul and this guy's didn't? At the stadium? Oh, our stadium, that would have stayed fair. Well, you're not there, stupid.
Yeah.
I understand. Oh, we played at Colorado. Well, you didn't play at Colorado. That ball wouldn't travel so far, so this is a stupid stadium.
Right.
Just don't give up the hit.
Right.
Or maybe score some more runs. You had 5 lefties in the lineup. Cole Calhoun couldn't hit a home run there? Corey Seager? No?
Yeah.
Nothing? You couldn't quite hit the ball over there?
And I believe Cole Calhoun hit one that wasn't exactly an absolute bomb.
I just don't understand. I can't stand that concept. I wanted to bring it up because we always bring it up. We always, because it's something that we both don't like. I really can't stand it. Because if you want to go into this, I'll go back. We can go through all baseball, and we could Ted Williams. We'll bring it all up. These guys' stats are way different if they played,
Right.
So I don't, get into it because it's just it's idiotic to use that. If you're going to use that, you have to be on both sides of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And go, yeah, sure, that might have been a home run there, but that's how it is. Yeah. But don't tell me that Fenway's, oh, well, you know what, that Fenway's, no, that's not the same as Yankee Stadium. You're right, because that's about 300 feet at most to the monster.
Yeah.
And about 140 to the right field foul pole with a fence that's 2 inches tall.
Yeah, imagine how many doubles you could get it.
Yeah, because even Jackie Bradley hits over 200 at Fenway, and he's awful. So we really want to go into this. We can really look at it because he's a terrible player and he bats decent there because all you do is touch the ball, right? So let's not go into this stadium thing. Chris Woodward, maybe he just doesn't know what goes on in baseball because I'm sure he couldn't quite hit the ball, or his guys who he's paying what 100. What's Seager, $300 million, and he's
325 or something.
200. Yeah. And when you coach him up, to hit them little league home runs there, Chief. So I couldn't believe that, and that's not just because the Yankees, because I'll badmouth the Yankees to anybody. That's not the problem. It's just the stadium concept is just stupid.
I agree. It is stupid.
Bring up the old baseball. Why don't we bring up that concept? Babe Ruth was hitting a beach ball. The thing was a squishy because water comes squeezing out of it. And now we're hitting a ball that, we got to juice from it. The thing's hard as a rock.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about that concept? Or the bat was lumpy. It was like a tree branch. And why don't we bring up these concepts? No, just the stadium.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
I know. It's very hypocritical, and it's only when it doesn't benefit you.
It's a weak argument.
Yeah, it is a weak argument.
It's a weak argument just because you're just a little baby.
You just want to point fingers, yeah.
Yeah. Hit the damn ball. Score more than one run. Right? It's not hard.
Yeah.
Stupid. So that's our topic of the day.
Yep.
So you guys have any input on that? Be glad to hear it because maybe I'm missing it. I know I'm very strong against this. So maybe I'm missing the point here. I know Mike is somewhat similar about not quite as strong because I can't stand this. So, but maybe I'm just missing the whole point of this. I don't know, but I just don't see.
No, it's it comes down sometimes to people have an axe to grind against the Yankees, and that's just a way to
Or certain stadiums, or Colorado.
Yeah.
I loved Arenado that one year. His stats were he hit more home runs out of Colorado. The one year he had like 18 home runs. He had like 4 in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
He had like 18 on the road.
Right.
Oh, it's Colorado. You just say that. You don't look at stats. You don't actually see what happens, right?
Yeah, and it's a hitter-friendly ballpark, and if you want to get, I don't want to sit on this too long, but if you want to get really statistical, no one ever talks about Great American Ballpark. It's the number 2 most hitter-friendly ballpark in the country, or in MLB.
It flies out of there.
Yeah, and no one talks about that.
Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
We seen the other day. It was Willie Adames on there. Said his favorite stadium to go to and play. His favorite city was Toronto, and he said also the big thing was the ball flew out of there.
Yeah.
He said it right there on MLB Network. I was watching it.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, yeah, the ball flies out of there.
And it's very hard to rob a home run there. You know what I mean? So if you get it over the wall, it's pretty much over the wall.
It's AstroTurf, so the ball kicks faster, goes through the infield faster, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can keep going and going, these stadiums. The old Detroit Stadium, the overhang. I mean, we really want to go down this Pittsburgh ball flies out of. Wrigley, if the wind's blowing out, can't get much easier there, right?
Forget it, yeah.
Those games were 28-29 there. I mean, what's the problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's just it only gets brought up against certain ballparks that fit a narrative and
just in certain times too. There's nothing else to talk about. It's all of a sudden it's a stadium.
Yeah.
Just shut the hell up.
Yeah, just because you lost the game. Yeah.
Just play the game.
Yeah.
The stadium has nothing to do with it. Why don't you worry about the baseball, the bases being bigger, or some nonsense they're trying to bring up, instead of worrying about the stadium that we built that fits 50,000 people and all this other crap.
Yep.
I just don't get it. It's just a terrible. It's just a terrible argument.
Yeah. Agreed.
I don't know. It's like they shouldn't play day games anymore because people have that Josh Hamilton eye thing.
With the blue
blue eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't play day games because he's no good at it. Really, we're gonna argue that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, give me a break.
Yeah. I know it's frustrating, but if you really do dive into the analytics, there's good ways to find it. You can find what are the most hitter-friendly ballparks, and it doesn't just encompass home runs. It's just you getting hits.
Yeah, and these are just stats I took out just from looking at the dimensions. It's not hard.
No. So and you just pass the eye test sometimes too. Just watch the game. You can figure it out for yourself.
Well, some people don't know how to watch games. They just complain about them.
Or just look at the computer.
Yeah. Instead of watching the game.
Yeah. But yeah, that's our topic of conversation for today. Is just essentially ballpark dimensions and how that kind of relates to people's ire that they spread towards the Rockies players or Yankee players or Fenway players or Blue Jays players or Orioles players or anyone.
And like I said, the last little comment here, I'm not, being in the stadium can help your stats.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Playing in Colorado your whole career could definitely change your stats a little bit. But don't tell me that playing in this stadium, it doesn't help your stats at Fenway, but a Yankee Stadium helps your stats. You can't do that.
It's all, yeah.
You could do that with any player. Oh, Frank Thomas played at the White Sox in Oakland all this long. Well, if he didn't have all that foul territory in Oakland, his stats would be here if he played at the. We're not doing that.
It'll never end. Yeah,
we're not doing that. But I get the stadiums can help you, but don't just single out certain stadiums in certain instances and certain points in games and careers that change the whole dynamic of the game.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
That's not how it
and
works.
Again, you're playing there too. So what's the problem?
We don't play there 81 times.
Well, just worry about your 3 games you play against them when you are there.
We don't play your stadium 81 times.
Yeah. So I don't know, but we'll just keep getting into it. But from there, I just kind of wanted to wrap up, the news segment and our topic here with who's doing the best right now is our usual wrap up. This is prior to any Monday games. I just kept it to last week. So currently, the Dodgers own the best record in the league at 19-7, while the Mets own the second best in the NL at 20-10. Over in the AL, the Yankees own the best record in that league at 19-8, while the Angels have the second best record at 19-11. As of recording this, there were some games that happened, but again, I'm trying to stick to it for the past week. The Dodgers own the best run differential at +74, and the Reds still own the worst at -79, and I just don't know if they'll ever climb out of that hole because they won 2 games since we last talked about them.
2 out of 3, right? What are we complaining about?
Yeah, they won their first series. How about that?
They almost doubled their win total.
And I think up until the last weekend of the last series of the weekend, they had like an 8 ERA as the starting rotation.
Very well.
So, not great for the Reds, but I don't know if they can't really dig much out of the hole, but at least make it look a little better than they did.
I don't know how you could do that, but Some teams here I got on the hot list as well. I got the Yankees, Rays, White Sox, Cleveland, the Astros, Dodgers, Padres, all playing pretty well baseball over the last 10 games. Some cold teams, the Red Sox been getting beat up. They don't score runs, which they're supposed to. Their pitching's been terrible. Their bullpen's unbelievably bad. Everything's kind of going wrong here all together, which we kind of thought could happen. Royals struggling of late. Tigers have been bad this year. I had them being better. Some injuries.
It's a bit surprising, yeah.
Yeah, some injuries. I think just some of the teams they've played, and they do deal with a lot of cold weather there and some crazy weather. I think some injuries really hurt them. Similar to White Sox start the year with these injuries that really hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
But no excuses, right? Mariners, another team that's kind of been on the fringe here, not doing it as good as they should. They've been struggling here. The A's going, possibly losing 10 straight here after starting relatively hot for a team that had nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Reds, of course, don't have to go into that much. And the Marlins, after winning 8 straight, I think it lost 7 of 8.
Yeah.
So those are some teams there that have kind of been streaky up and down. So there's some cold teams I just want to throw out there as well as the hot teams.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some strange happenings around baseball. The White Sox are kind of having a hard time here. The Braves are having a little bit of a hard time. But there's some expected teams. Yankees, Mets, Dodgers are all there. So I wouldn't say the Angels are a real surprise, but I guess to some people that really are Astros, people really think the Astros are a little bit better than I think that are given credit. You know?
I think so far this year, I think it's looked more predictable.
Yeah,
in the standings than did last year.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, obviously there's your outliers, but last year it was pretty nuts.
Yeah, last year I didn't know what to.
This year, I think as of now, it looks a little bit more predictable. Like, okay, this kind of makes more sense.
Right.
So, and that'll round into shape as the games tick off.
Yeah, exactly. People, the good teams will be good and the bad teams will be bad.
Yeah,
and
when you're good, you're good, right?
Yeah,
it averages out.
You figure it out.
Back your baseball card, things like that. So.
Right, exactly. So from there, talking about hot and cold teams, let's go into the hot and cold players of the week. I believe the 2 guys I don't have on my list here, Rowdy Tellez won the NL Player of the Week, and Manuel Margot won the AL Player of the Week. I don't have them on here because, to be honest, these 3 of the guys here hit better than those guys that I have, at least these 3 top guys. So my number 1 hot player of the week is Franmil Reyes. He batted .611 last week with an .833 slugging, 1483 OPS. How he got forgotten, I guess, I don't know. And he did also have one of the most at-bats. He had some of the most at-bats out of the week. So it's not like he went, it's not like he went 3 for 5 or something. It doesn't make any sense. Austin Hayes, number 2, he batted .556 with a .778 slugging and a .1349 OPS. He's been red hot. Gene Segura batted .500 with a .667 slugging and a .1217 OPS. Number 4, Ben Gamble batted .476 over the last week with an .810 slugging and a .1310 OPS. And finally, Jose Altuve, I believe, has been really hot lately. He batted .474 over the last week with a .947 slugging and a .1512 OPS. So those are my 5 hot players of the week on top of the 2 guys I mentioned. I didn't have the players of the week. I always like to at least mention them,
Yeah. Yeah, and some guys I want to throw, Ketel Marte, after struggling, has picked it up here for Arizona for the Diamondbacks. He's been playing pretty well. You did mention Manuel Margot. I had him here, obviously playing well, actually kind of carrying the Rays a little bit offensively.
Yeah.
As of late. And Juan Yepez for the Cardinals was red hot. Hit his first career home run yesterday on Mother's Day. And been playing swing the bat pretty good there for the Cardinals. So that's definitely a big help, especially when you get to the cold list and you hear a name on there. You go, okay, well, you got to have a guy on hot list for that team to have a guy on a cold list, right? If you want to be good.
Yeah, right.
Some pitchers that have been pitching pretty well over the last 7 to 10 days. Kyle Freeland, he did get that extension some time back. That was a little surprising. People thought the guy was a Cy Young candidate a couple years ago. He's been up and down with some injuries and just not pitching great. But this year he's been pitching all right. Recently, pitching great. Carlos Carrasco, pitching good. Kershaw, obviously, been doing good. Frankie Montas for the A's, even though he might not get some wins, he's pitching good. Daniel Bard for Colorado, pitching great. It was a big comeback story last year or the year before. And Liam Hendricks has kind of straightened himself out a little bit here. He's starting to get on the right path here, and which is why the White Sox are kind of starting to get on the hot side of baseball.
Right. Yeah, some definitely hot players to talk about there, but let's get into the the cold players, the guys that didn't really do that well this week. Number 1, I have Marcell Ozuna, batted .087 over the last week with an .087 slugging and a .247 OPS. Number 2, I have Austin Riley, also batted .087 over the last week with an .087 slugging and a .279 OPS. Number 3, Trent Grisham, batted .048 over the last week with a .143 slugging and a .343 OPS. Number 4, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., .048 average over the last week with an .095 slugging and a .225 OPS over last week. And finally, number 5, Taylor Walls, batted 100 over the last week, the 150 slugging, and a 293 OPS. So some bigger names there, especially 2 prominent Braves players. That definitely hurts them. And, it's kind of weird to see, a team that's struggling so much, and you have Acuna out there kind of almost leading the charge. He's big in the news with his comeback home run where he fell and stuff like that. But you also, on the other side, have 2 of your Braves players not doing well, and they're kind of living in the shadow of the Mets are really killing it right now. So kind of weird thing going on with the Braves right now.
Just like last year, right?
Yeah, it's literally. Yep.
So some players I want to mention here not playing well. Jock Peterson, Kyle Farmer, Austin Riley, not playing well. Another Brave there. Paul DeJong has been awful for the Cardinals. This was the guy I was just mentioning. Awful for like 2-3 years now. I don't know what happened to him hitting wise. He was usually a 250, 260 hitter with some power and really good defensively. His defense has dropped a little bit this year, I feel. His offense for the last couple of years has been awful. The Cardinals need to make a move. They need to put Tommy Edman at short, bring Nolan Gorman up, and just change that whole offense because it's a black hole. Even Sosa, the backup there, I believe their position player at shortstop, players playing at short for this year, they're batting like 120 as a position.
Right.
It's terrible. Just not good. Some other players, Baez struggling. Trevor Story has been bad for the Red Sox so far. Even defensively, he hasn't been good at second base.
Yeah.
So really cold there. Another part why the Red Sox maybe are not doing good right now. Some pitchers that have been struggling here. German Marquez off to a real slow start with Colorado. Pitching in that stadium might not help, but even on the road, he's not pitching well. Robbie Ray, or Cy Young last year, getting beat up here at the gate. Tyler Mahle's not been pitching that great, even though he's been Mr. Consistent, kind of Quintana of old, I guess you could say. He used to kind of put up that 3.2, 3.3 ERA every year.
Right.
Been getting beat up a bit here. Again, the Reds being terrible. Maybe defensively not that great, and just no motivation could be the key, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hawk for the Red Sox, not pitching great as well. And Matt Barnes, again, for the Red Sox, awful for about 2 years now, right? Or a year since towards the back second half of last year into this year. I mean, he's been bad. I mean, he wasn't even on the roster last year for playoffs.
Yeah.
He's been, like, historically bad for them right now, which is just not, which is surprising because the guy's got some pretty good stuff to at least be a 3 ERA, pretty at least serviceable reliever at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like,
He's just lost it.
Just a loss touching the field. I don't even know who you can. Ronald Belisario, I guess back in the day was kind of like that, right? His last year, where he was on the field, you automatically lost, right? He ended up with like a 10 ERA, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean,
it's not great.
That's where he's at right now. It's a shame because Matt Barnes got some stuff, but maybe there's a turnaround at some point. But at this point, it's extended, so it's like, is this it now?
Yeah, right.
So there's some cold pitchers there who've really been not doing good.
Yeah, and like you said with Matt Barnes, is that just how he is now? Or is there some bounce back that can happen there? Because I believe through the first, at least until July or August last year, he was like elite. Like he was a top reliever.
Yeah.
So it was
like June or so, he was elite. Then it started slowing down and started getting back to the earth, but he was still doing good. And then it was like, July or so, and then all of a sudden it was a switch, and he's been
a liability.
Yeah,
really.
yeah, it's terrible. I mean, on the postseason roster.
Yeah,
how do you go from all-star to not postseason roster in the same year?
Yeah, it's kind of almost impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to do.
So yeah. Contributes to the Red Sox woes this early on,
Exactly. The next part here is some injuries. The injury side is actually relatively good. Pretty short, and the good side was pretty long. So we did have Michael Walker placed in the IL. He's been having a resurgent year for the Red Sox. Now he's on the IL. Another Red Sox. When you're cold, things happen. Here we go. Tim McCastro placed in the IL for the Yankees. Carlos Correa, day-to-day. Not a fractured finger, but he's day-to-day. We're not really sure if he's going to get on the IL. He's not going to be, but it seems to be okay for now. Dave Fletcher plays on the IL again. He's been struggling with the Angels, hurt twice now. Here's a player that didn't get back to the Angels, playing well, slap hitter, plays good defense, runs the bases, just kind of a pest in the lineup kind of guy, right? Richard Blyer for the Marlins plays on the IL. Roberto Perez expected to miss some decent amount of time with Pittsburgh. Carson Kelly plays on the IL, has been struggling mightily this year for Arizona. Blake Trinan hurt his shoulder, expected to be out through the All-Star break at this point. So that's a pretty big loss there.
Yeah, definitely.
We also have Brandon Belt left the game the other day with some neck stiffness after just coming off the IL. It's a big piece for the Giants to note. You kind of need that guy healthy as well as some other guys. But Brandon Belt's kind of your key in your lineup at this point,
yeah,
right?
He's big, yeah.
So him possibly missing time could be, not good. On the good side of things, we have Teoscar Hernandez activated from the IL. G-Man Choi activated for the IL. Matt Manning started a rehab assignment. Juan Moncada, who we're watching the White Sox game right now. We just seen Gavin Sheets drop a ball in the outfield, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Moncada activated, playing today for, his opening day, I guess you could say, his debut, for season debut. Lance McCullers is supposed to be throwing from 90 feet and stuff like that, so he's kind of on the verge of starting to ramp things up. Chris Sale actually had a small setback, nothing to do with his arm or his ribs, which is hurt right now, the ribs. It was more of just a medical setback. I don't know if there was a sickness or
That's what it sounded like to me.
general soreness, maybe something like that. They said it could push it back maybe about 2 weeks, which at this point, I mean, it's not the end of the world, right? You just want the guy back. He's one of your better players. Here's one we haven't talked about: Mike Soroka.
Yeah.
For the Braves, he has thrown another bullpen. I believe he's done 5 bullpen sessions at this point. He feels pretty good. He looks pretty good. He's on the verge of a rehab assignment. He'll be back for the Braves at some point. Coming off of 2 Achilles last year, just walking in the stadium, hurt himself. Literally, he walked in the clubhouse, hurt himself. DeGrom, not really much update there. He's progressing still, slowly progressing. It's pretty much the only thing we have. Jack Flaherty, he's throwing bullpen sessions. He's expected to start doing a rehab assignment pretty soon. He threw a 30-pitch bullpen session the other day. Should be ramping up to maybe 50 pitches soon here and getting going to a rehab assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Voigt expected to be activated or should be back here in the next couple days. And Chris Bryant is supposed to get a cortisone shot injection today. He's still going to be miss a little bit of time, but he should be okay. They're expected hopefully back in the next week or 2.
Yep.
So there's your injury news. And again, the good side was way longer than the bad side. And even the bad side really wasn't much there to be mostly small injuries.
Yeah, good to see that, you got more guys coming back. You just want your stars on the field, and, you don't want ACL tears or Tommy Johns or any of those sort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You keep away from those, and you keep this general soreness and this and that happening, and the surgeries, keep them away, so keep them to the off season where you can really heal.
At least, yeah.
So always good to see more people coming back, as we always say.
Sure, exactly, yeah. So, and the last thing I have here is our trivia question, and you're going to love it. So, our trivia question relates to our topic. So, who hit the shortest home run over the fence, right, or out of the park, however you want to word it, shortest home run in the StatCast era, official StatCast era? That dates back to what, 2008?
Well, StatCast was only 2015, I believe.
Was it
I think
2015?
it's not that. It's actually not that far.
Okay, I think
back.
that maybe it was part of the analytics. Maybe started in 2008. There's something in 2008. I was looking it up today. 2008, 2009.
Could be analytics.
So maybe it was official StatCast. Maybe 215. Maybe it's where it's like we can actually rely
yeah,
on
the
this.
Amazon StatCast.
Yeah, something like that. But the shortest home run or over the fence home run in the StatCast era, who hit it? It belongs to Lorenzo Cain, a 302-foot home run on July 29th, 2017 at, you guessed it, Fenway Park, around the pesky pole. He hit it 90 miles per hour. That was it. That was the exit velocity. The launch angle and the exit velocity, the ball on average usually goes about 216 feet. Hit the top of the fence right at the pesky pole, went over the fence. It was 302 feet. That is the official shortest home run out of the stadium in the StatCast era. There was one that said Didi Gregorius hit a 295-foot home run at Fenway at the pesky pole. Again, per the fence being 302, that's not possible. Again, probably not because the fence is not 302. But his was apparently 295. It's kind of a rough number. The official one, though, you'll see, it makes the most sense. Official, it's more Lorenzo Cain 302 at Fenway. So, go figure. That was the shortest home run.
Yeah.
Nothing said, though, there, right?
No.
So, but a little side story to that, though. The shortest actual home run ever hit. Mike likes this story.
No.
Was an inside the park home run. I believe it was in 1900. The guy hit the ball 2 feet. He hit the ball into the mud in front of home plate. Never reached the infield grass, they say. And he got an inside the park home run because they couldn't find the ball in the mud. He got an inside the park home run. So the shortest home run of any kind, and that will be history, was 2 feet.
And I guess that's before you could wave your arms and say, "Hey, dead ball." Because it was already the dead ball era, so everything was dead.
So they just never found the ball.
Yeah.
And he just got an inside the park home run on the ball that went 2 feet into a wormhole of oblivion of mud. Again, and then you got to think, how are you playing on the field if there's that much mud?
Right.
That made it work. But there you go. So your trivia question again: who hit the shortest over the fence out of the park home run in the StatCast era? Lorenzo Cain of 302 feet at Fenway Park.
It's absolutely incredible. It's just an absolutely incredible. Both of them.
Both of
The
them.
2 feet one, that's just old baseball. It's just how it goes.
That's incredible.
The Renzo Kane one, I do vaguely remember. Because it's just when you see something like that, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how did that get out of it? Like, a pesky
Exactly.
pole is so ridiculous. But yeah, that's I'm sure there's people out there that certainly remember that, especially if you're a Red Sox fan. You're like, how? You're like, why? Did we just
Royals
give up?
fan or whatever.
Yeah, Royals fan. You're like, oh, we'll take it.
We were there.
Yeah. So that's a good one though. The Statcast era has given us even good defensive metrics on the opposite side of the ball. Just not to get into a quick quick thing here, but on the defensive side of the ball, you have routes to the ball and route efficiency and this and that.
Closing speed.
Yeah, so
closing feet per second.
Yeah,
like
what was the expected batting average on that hit? Did you really steal a hit away from the guy, or was it kind of more routine? So cool stuff like that. I think Statcast has brought a good things to the game, at least for advanced analytics. So, but with that, that's kind of all I had for this episode. I said it was a little bit more topic driven. We did talk a little bit more about the topic than we would about the news typically. The news was really, really light. Frank and I had a hard time finding really newsworthy stuff that was outside of kind of just accolades and kind of random stuff. So hopefully next week we do have a little bit more to talk about. We will always have our topics, so we'll always have something to talk about. It's just how much of the news are we bringing to the episode. So, but that's all I have for this week as far as any of the stuff that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, that's all we got.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. You can catch this podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Google Podcasts and Spotify. You can listen on our regularly updated YouTube channel as well as our website, screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @RealMikeLepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @FTubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Screwball Facebook at ScrewballPod. No E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep, take care.